Okay, so today is, wow, August 3rd. August 3rd, yeah. Seems like the summer just started and it's halfway through already. Wow. I have to start making my funeral arrangements. Okay, so we will start with the homage to the Buddha. Namo, excuse me. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Okay, good morning, everybody. Okay, so so today we will be taking Sutta number 103 in the Majjhima Nikaya. This is called the Kinti Sutta. And from the sense of it, we get the meaning is, well, actually, Kinti means literally just how or what. But from the sense of it, I think the title that Venerable Nyanamoli gave was, What Do You Think About Me? And one gets the impression, well, first the basic topic of the sutta is how to resolve disputes within the Sangha. And one gets the impression from the sutta that it was spoken by the Buddha perhaps very close to the end of his life, when he foresaw that he wouldn't be around much longer to settle disputes. So he had to lay down some guidelines for the Sangha, how to settle disputes that might arise. Okay, so we'll start from the beginning. And it says that the sutta takes place when the Blessed One, the Buddha, was living at Kusinara. This is according to the singular script edition of the sutta. The Burmese script edition that's on the Chattasangayana website, Chattasangayana Tripitaka website, has a different city, Pisinara, but I suspect that that is a mistake. And if it really takes place at Kusinara, then this would be some evidence that the sutta is taking place perhaps even on the verge of the Buddha's passing away. Because if you know anything about Kusinara, you know that that is the place where the Buddha's parinibbana, or passing away, took place. And I don't recall other suttas that take place at Kusinara apart from those that are connected with the Buddha's passing away. So if that's the case, that this sutta takes place at Kusinara, then it could have been, the sutta could even have been something like, we call it deathbed instructions. Okay, so the sutta begins when the Buddha calls the attention of the monks, and then he asks them, what do you think? It's a little bit strange, this question, but he says, what do you think about me, monks? Do you think that the recluse Gautama, that's referring to himself by his proper name, teaches the Dhamma for the sake of robes, or for the sake of alms food, or for the sake of a resting place or lodgings, gifts of monasteries, or for the sake of, in Pali it's bhava bhava hetu, which is translated here for the sake of some better state of being. And the implication here is for the sake of gaining rebirth, for the sake of acquiring merit in order to be reborn in some superior realm of existence, like in the heavenly worlds. And so apparently this would be the reason why some other teachers would have taught the Dhamma, or would have taught their own, would have taught their own teaching. That is because they were out for material gain. Having renounced the world, you still have to cover the body with robes, unless you are a member of the sky-clad sect of the Jains, in which case that is or one of the other sects of naked ascetics, then you don't have any worry about robes. But even if you belong to that sect, you need alms food, or you need a dwelling place. Okay, so the Buddha raises this question, and then the monks say that they don't think that the Buddha teaches the Dhamma for the sake of robes or alms food or a dwelling place or to be reborn in some higher realm of existence. So then the Buddha asks them, if you do not think in that way, then what do you think about me? In other words, why do you think I'm teaching the Dhamma? And then the monks say, we think about the Blessed One, that the Blessed One is compassionate, anukampako is the word that's used, one who has sympathy or compassion, and one who seeks our welfare, hitesi, that is one who seeks our good, our benefit. And so he teaches the Dharma anukampang upadaya, out of compassion for us. So it seems that the Buddha is setting up this initial part of the teaching in order just to get confirmation from the monks that they truly have trust in him, and they recognize that he's teaching the Dhamma not for the sake of any worldly benefit for himself, but because he truly has compassion for them and concern for their welfare. And so once the Buddha gets that confirmation, then he's assured within his own mind that the instruction that he's going to give will be accepted by the monks out of a recognition that these instructions will be truly given for their well-being and for their spiritual progress and for their ultimate attainment of liberation. Okay, and now comes very important teaching. You might say that this is almost like the core or the essence of the final instructions that the Buddha will be leaving with the Sangha. So he says, these things that I have taught you on the basis of my own direct knowledge, my own superior or penetrative knowledge. Then he mentions these things that he's taught over and over again throughout his whole teaching career. So he sums them up as the 4 satipatthanas, the 4 foundations of mindfulness, the 4 right kinds of striving, or the 4 right efforts. That's the 4 samapadana. The 4 bases for spiritual power. That's the 4 iddhipada, which is taught for the basis of, as the means of acquiring supernormal powers, but also as the means for reaching liberation. Okay, the 4 bases for spiritual power, the 5 faculties, the panchindriya, 5 spiritual faculties, the 5 powers or strengths, the pancha bala, the 7 factors of enlightenment, the 7 bojjhanga, and the 8 factors of the Noble Eightfold Path, Arya Atangika Maggo. Okay, so that sums up the essence of the Buddha's teaching. And now comes the important instruction for the monks. In these things, you should all train in concord, in harmony, with mutual appreciation. That is, rejoicing together as you're all training in these things, and without disputing about them. Okay, so this is sort of the Buddha giving these quintessential instructions. And now let's say, as I'm getting older, my memory is getting rusty. So maybe some of you can help me remember some of these groups. So we have the 4 foundations of mindfulness. Let's see, what are they? Gee, a little cloudy in my memory. Who can help me and get them in the right order, exactly in the order? Okay, Obasa. Yeah, go on. Okay.
Yeah, mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of feelings, the mind, and the dhammas that's conducive to liberations.
Okay. So we have the 4 foundations of mindfulness. So we have contemplation of the body, contemplation of feelings, contemplation of mind, and then contemplation of dhammas. Dhammas being a very broad category that includes both things that are obstructive to mental development, like the 5 hindrances, and things that are beneficial, like the 7 enlightenment factors. So these are the 4 satipatthanas, 4 foundations of mindfulness. And now we have the 4 right efforts, or 4 kinds of striving. Who would like to enlighten us about these? You've been memorizing the list? You do remember the 4? Wait, let's get the right order. Nobody. Let's see. I think you're a little bit off, but that's one of them. Excuse me? Okay, since nobody is getting in order, you just try it, even if it's... Wait, go back. Now there's another one with the unwholesome. Okay, good, good. Okay, take the microphone.
Okay. So any unwholesome states that has arisen, you push away with restraint.
Yeah.
Any unwholesome states that has yet arisen, you keep it away with
Yeah, that's
with
right. You
restraint,
prevent it from arising.
prevent it from arising. Any wholesome states that has arisen, then
Wait, let's get,
any wholesome states that has arisen
yeah,
are you know provoke those thoughts of wholesome minds,
yeah.
and then any wholesome states that has not arisen, you also provoke the
Okay,
thoughts to
you're on the right
arise.
track, except those two should be inverted. Because first, the wholesome states that have not yet arisen, first you have to arouse them, bring them up. Then the wholesome states that have already arisen, then you have to stabilize them and develop them further till they reach fulfillment. Okay, so he got all four right. So the order a little bit off. Okay, so to get them in the right order, you have to remember first you divide into the unwholesome and the wholesome. And the Buddha usually takes the unwholesome side first, because that's what you have to get rid of. So the unwholesome that has not yet arisen, one makes the effort to prevent it from arising. And then the unwholesome that has arisen, one makes the effort to remove them, to dispel them. So those are the two right efforts regarding the unwholesome. Then regarding the wholesome, there are also two right efforts. The first is that when there are wholesome states that have not yet arisen, then one has to arouse them or bring them up, generate them. And then with the wholesome states that have already arisen, then one has to stabilize them, strengthen them, and develop them to fulfillment. Okay, so that's the four right efforts. Very good. Okay, the four iddhipadas, the four bases for success, sometimes called the four bases for success, or the four bases for spiritual power. Maybe this is not so familiar. You want to try? Oh, boss. Okay, take the microphone again.
Yeah, the first is will,
Yeah.
effort or energy,
Okay, good, yeah.
consciousness,
Okay, good, yeah.
and investigation.
Very good, excellent, yeah. Okay, so the first is, the Pali word is chanda. One translation is will, also translated desire. So this is the desire to, it could be the desire to achieve a certain goal, or the desire to strengthen the wholesome. Okay, the second is virya, which is energy or strong effort. Then the third is citta, which can be rendered consciousness or mind. This is using the sort of purity and brightness of the mind as a basis for development and then for achieving success. Probably this is pointing to samadhi or concentration. And then the fourth one is investigation, vimangsa, which is using wisdom as the means, or inquiry, examination as a means to develop wisdom. Okay, then comes the 5 indriyas or spiritual faculties. What are the 5 spiritual faculties?
But I'm referring back to the Sakuludayan Sutta
To what?
here. The Sakuludayan.
Oh, no, I don't want you to look in the sutta.
So, no, I don't have the right answer. I'm sorry.
I want to see who has them by memory. Wait, you're... Now this is a star student. Okay, please.
Faith,
Yeah,
effort or energy,
yeah.
mindfulness, concentration, wisdom.
Right, excellent, excellent. So faith, energy or effort, mindfulness, concentration, wisdom. And the 5 balas or powers. Okay, Johnny. Right. Okay, good. Okay, now we're getting into the upper stratosphere. 7 factors of enlightenment. Who's going to help us with that? Oh, no. You're a veteran, yeah. Bowie. Take the microphone. Speak up.
The enlightenment factor of mindfulness.
Yeah.
And then it's that enlightenment factor of that I forgot it.
You forgot?
责法. I don't remember its English. It's 责法. And
See you. Okay.
And then enlightenment factor of PT. Energy.
Okay.
And then it's that Qing'an. A PT and then rapture.
Yeah.
And then it's Qing'an. And then it's
Okay,
samadhi.
tranquility.
And then upekkha.
Is it really upekkha?
No, the last one is the equanimity.
Yeah.
And the 6th one is samadhi, the
Right.
concentration.
Okay,
And
concentration.
the one before the samadhi is that tranquility.
Yeah.
So
And go
it's
down.
mindfulness, investigation, rapture, energy rapture, tranquility, samadhi, and equanimity.
Okay, so let's get them. Mindfulness, investigation of phenomena, energy, rapture or joy, tranquility, concentration, and equanimity. And now we come to the Noble Eightfold Path, who's going to get the factors and the right, all the 8 factors exactly in the right order. You want to try it? Okay. Okay, take the microphone.
First, right view.
Okay.
Then we have right action. No. Right view. Then we have right effort.
No.
Let's see. Right
Okay, this has to be in the right order. No, you can. Okay, we'll take Osmond again. Okay, take the microphone. Okay, we have right view.
And right intention,
Yeah,
right speech,
right.
action,
Yeah,
livelihood,
yeah.
mindfulness,
Okay, we have livelihood. What's after right livelihood?
right action, speech, action, livelihood, mindfulness, concentration, right mindfulness, right concentration, and right effort, right mindfulness.
Okay,
and
right effort
concent-
comes after right. After right livelihood comes right effort, then right mindfulness, and then right concentration. Okay, so now we put them in the correct order. Right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, then right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. So those are the 37 factors that the Buddha has emphasized again and again. And so later, I don't think one finds this in the older suttas, but later these 7 groups come to be collected under the name of the 37 Bodhipakkhya Dhammas. So these are literally the 37 dhammas or factors or qualities that pertain to enlightenment, that are on the side of enlightenment. Or sometimes they're translated the wings to awakening, or the 37 aids to enlightenment. Okay, so if we're going to train in concord with mutual appreciation without disputing, first you have to learn them. Truly. Okay, now comes, we call it the core or the essence of this discourse, and that is what to do when different views, the different interpretations emerge. Okay, so now I'm on page 848. The Buddha says, while you are training in concord with mutual appreciation without disputing, 2 monks might make different, here this, I think the translation here not so good, might make different assertions about the higher Dhamma. Now actually the word that's used in the Pali here is Abhidhamma. But I think here the translation, higher Dhamma, implying that there's something higher than the regular Dhamma, is not correct. But rather, and it's not the case, later there emerges a systematic form of the Buddha's teaching coming from the Abhidhamma Vitakka, and then this philosophy is called Abhidhamma. But that's not being referred to here. The prefix abhi, this is sort of what's been determined by philologists, special linguistic specialists, that the word abhi is sometimes used simply to indicate reference to something. And so what is really meant here is simply that they make different assertions with reference to the Dhamma. And even according to the commentary, even the commentary doesn't interpret the word Abhidhamma here as referring to, the later philosophy of the Abhidhamma system. But it says that what's meant by Abhidhamma here is simply the 37 aids to enlightenment. So these are different opinions, different interpretations that emerge about the 37 factors that the Buddha said you should train harmoniously in. And so now the Buddha is going to go through different bases for conflict or dispute and how to settle them. And he mentions two main ways, or two main spheres, we could say, two spheres or two factors over which the dispute can arise. One of these is the meaning or the substance of the teaching. The other is the phrasing, the wording, the expression. So in Pali, this is the two things around which disputes can arise is atta, which is meaning, and Vyanjana, which is the formulation, the expression, the wording. Okay, so now we have a case first where the monks have been divided about both the meaning and the phrasing. Okay, so now the Buddha is going to give instructions. How does one settle this dispute? He says that whichever monk you think is the more reasonable should be approached and addressed thus. So you have two sides disputing. If there is a monk, say, who's not involved in the dispute and who seems to be learned and wise, capable of sound judgment, then one should go to him. But if all of the monks are involved in the conflict, then one should, to settle it, one should look to the one who seems to be the most reasonable, the wisest, the most learned, and most balanced, the one who's likely to be able to consider both sides objectively without firmly and tenaciously holding to his own position. So the monks go to this one, the more reasonable, and one says to him, the venerable ones are differing They're disputing about both the meaning and the phrasing. The Venerable One should know that it is for this reason that there is a difference about the meaning and difference about the phrasing. Let them not fall into a dispute. Okay, so now it seems that in this case one is going to the most reasonable of the monks who are disputing. It seems that it's picturing a case where there's a dispute on all the monks are involved in the dispute. So you go to the most reasonable and then tell him about the dispute. Then you go to the most reasonable one on the opposite side and oh, okay, I see. Okay. Okay, you go to the one on the opposite side, the one who seems to be the most reasonable, and you tell him that there is a dispute. I have to say, it's not so clear how one is actually going to resolve the dispute. But, so it just says that what has been wrongly grasped should be borne in mind as wrongly grasped, and bearing in mind what has been wrongly grasped as wrongly grasped. What is Dhamma and what is discipline should be expounded. I don't see very clear guidelines on settling the dispute here, except by referring it to the Dhamma and the discipline. How would one go about settling a dispute in case there's differences in both the meaning and the phrasing? What do you think? Maybe we should go on to see the next case. Okay, here there is a difference about the meaning, but agreement about the phrasing. Okay, so then whichever monk you think is the more reasonable out of the monks who are divided on the two sides, you go to him and you say to him that the Venerable Ones differ about the meaning, but agree about the phrasing. Okay, so there's no dispute about the phrasing, but it's the interpretation that differs. So in this case, the Venerable One should know that it is for this reason that there is difference about the meaning, but agreement about the phrasing. Let them not fall into a dispute. Then you go to the one on the other side who seems the most reasonable, and you say to this one that the Venerable Ones differ about the meaning, but agree about the phrasing, and that there is, for this and this reason, that there is difference about the meaning, but agreement about the phrasing. Let them not fall into a dispute. Again, it just says what has been wrongly grasped should be remembered as wrongly grasped. What has been rightly grasped should be remembered as rightly grasped. And bearing this in mind, what is Dhamma and what is discipline should be expounded. Okay, so here, again, there's a dispute, but how does one settle it on this basis? Let me take an example of a case where there's a dispute about the meaning, but agreement about the phrasing. Okay, in the Satipatthana Sutta, the refrain from the Satipatthana Sutta, if you remember, or you don't have to remember, we can look at it. If you go to Sutta number 10, on page 145, where the Buddha is laying out the basic formulation for the practice of Satipatthana. There's section 3. We have here a monk abides contemplating the body as a body, ardent, fully aware and mindful. Now we have the expression having put away covetousness and grief for the world. In Pali, it's Vinaya Loke Abhijja Domanasang. And now what's called covetousness here, abhijja, is connected with desire or craving, and grief or domanassa is connected with ill will or anger or resentment. And so this is often interpreted to mean that one puts away the 5 hindrances. Okay, so this is something like a shared understanding of this phrase in the Satipatthana Sutta. But now there's a difference in the way having put away covetousness and grief for the world is understood. The dominant way of understanding this is that as one is practicing Satipatthana, one is in the process of putting away greed or craving and sorrow or grief, ill will. And so the practice of Satipatthana is a means for overcoming these defilements of craving and ill will. But there are some interpreters who say that because of the grammatical form vinaya, having put away, there are some interpreters that say this means that first one has to overcome